Hey guys, it's Ray Ray and I am back with another video. I wanted to come on and talk about the two articles of impeachment, the abuse of power and the obstruction of Congress. Okay, the abuse of power. Well, we know they are using the Ukrainian aid as a way to connect President Trump with abuse of power. What the Democrats are saying is that President Trump tried to force President Zelensky into publicly endorsing an investigation into the Bidens for political points or to get one up on Biden, right? I don't know that to be true or false, but what I do know is that the Democratic Party consists of 34%, and that's the white base, and the black American base is about 80 something percent. Now you can bust that down into baby boomers, Gen Xers, and millennials. And I know for a fact Gen Xers and millennials weren't interested in Joe Biden. So he might have had a handful of baby boomers, and that wasn't going to be enough. If anything, I see Bernie Sanders having, more support. Okay, I think with the heart attack, the stroke or whatever that he had, might have scared some people off, but ultimately, I'm sure he's going to be the choice. Um, as far as obstruction of Congress goes, this is, the whole thing is just ridiculous. But the obstruction of Congress, what they're saying is that President Trump and the DOJ withheld documents. Okay, three different departments denied records and documents that the Democrats had requested. So they consider that to be obstruction. They also served several subpoenas. And I wanted to go over a few of the names here that they subpoenaed and why, they didn't appear for their subpoenas. Okay, first, let's go to Robert P. Blair. Robert P. Blair is a White House aide to President Trump, and he's a senior advisor to the Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney. Mulvaney was also subpoenaed, but Mulvaney is a little bit scary, and I wouldn't want him to testify either after the quid pro quo incident. I think the guy was just being honest. I think Mr. Mulvaney was the chief of staff was just being honest, and he just strikes me as that kind of guy. Like, he'll tell his friend, yeah, your wife gained 20 pounds and her beard is a little bit thick, but you have children with her, you're married or you love her, go home, swallow your pride. He just seems like that type of guy that'll, they mean well, and we've all been in those situations where we mean well and we might have said something that we shouldn't have. So as far as a witness goes, I wouldn't want to put him on the stand. But back to Robert P. Blair. The Democrats basically wanted to bring him in so they could get him to support their statement and to badger the witness basically into complying with their fake theory that President Trump was using Ukraine's president to enhance political points for the next election. Okay, but we didn't need Robert P. Blair as a witness, and obviously the Department of Justice felt the same way because President Trump had already released the call from July 25th. So because he released that call on July 25th, we had the transcript of the conversation, so we didn't need Blair there anyway. So that was a good decision by the DOJ. The second person that came up was White House lawyer John A. Eisenberg. He was protected by constitutional immunity. So constitutional immunity just protects people who make statements, or people with certain professional backgrounds, if they make statements in either house, whether it's Democratic or Republican, so that they have some protection within the statements that they made. And then also he's the advisor to President Trump, so we can't have him testifying or giving statements against someone that he's advising. That doesn't, that seems like some sort of conflict of interest or something like that. I'm not really sure, but that was another good call from the Department of Justice. Next up is Michael Ellis. Michael Ellis is an attorney for President Trump, and his subpoena was deemed invalid. invalid, and I believe it was deemed invalid due to the lack thereof or no legal representation for Mr. Michael Ellis, attorney Michael Ellis. They wanted to conduct an interview with him, and his attorney wanted to make sure that he was present to maintain attorney-client privilege between Michael Ellis and President Trump, while also protecting Michael Ellis's rights, right? Because he's an attorney for President Trump, which is somewhat still, I think, like a civilian. So they wanted to make sure he didn't breach that attorney-client privilege and that he was protected as well while he was in there answering questions, and the Democrats denied that right. So the DOJ decided not to let him testify, and they deemed that subpoena invalid. The last person I'm going to talk about as far as who they call or who would be an obstructor is, what is this guy's name? Griffith. Preston Wells Griffith. I'm not sure what position he holds there, but I know that the Democrats wanted him to testify because they say he was present on July 10th. And on July 10th, this is supposedly where the so-called phone call had taken place, where President Trump allegedly instructs President Zelensky that he needs to announce the investigation into Biden publicly. Okay, that he needs to make this publicly so the whole world can see it. So, again, President Trump could gain some type of political points. But we already know that, Biden is not a threat politically to President Trump. He's just not. Just based off the last 8 years when he was in office, that right there alone solidifies the fact that, he wasn't going to get support from a lot of black Americans anyway. So yeah, they just wanted him to come in so they could, get hearsay from, well, what did you hear this? Did you hear that? Or whatever. If he's not on the line, actually, I don't know if he's actually on the line of the call or he's just in the room. If he's just in the room, you could hear anything. It wasn't really clear. The information that I went over wasn't really clear as to if Griffith was on the line. But either way, he didn't have a defense. So I don't know if the Democrats are going to hold Griffith in contempt. The rebuttal he made, because I can't think of the better term, the correct term right now, the rebuttal he made wasn't sufficient to them. So he may be in contempt. I don't know how they're going to go after that. So the other 4 people will be in the description box. And I mentioned Mulvaney already, so yeah, those are the reasons why they're saying that President Trump obstructed them. But there was no obstruction because they got a response from the Department of Justice. It's not like President Trump just said, all right, nobody respond, just go sit down. They were responded to properly, legally. If somebody issues a subpoena to you, you obtain an attorney, and the attorney determines whether you have to answer or show up or not. And so that's what the Department of Justice did. So there was no obstruction. And we already know that President Trump released thousands upon thousands upon thousands of documents. They're all over the internet. Everything is everywhere. It's just too much. It's so much reading, and it's a lot of it is just nonsense. It's saying the same thing over. It's repetitive. The Ukrainian, he withheld aid. It's repetitive. It's so damn repetitive, and it's so damn lacking of evidence. Okay, so I also wanted to kind of let me just summarize. I read these 2 articles. They're going to be in the description box. The reason why I want to briefly talk about these 2 articles is because they are supporting evidence for the president, because everybody's like, well, why did he withhold the aid? Why did he withhold the aid? And why not just give the aid? These people, even though, never mind. Let me not go into Obama. But the 2 articles that I wanted to present to you guys that will be in the description box, one of the articles comes from Rutgers University, and the other one is from GAN. And the one from Rutgers University, the title of that is Fighting Corruption. Ukraine starts to judge its judges. So to summarize that up quickly, there was a judge who was corrupt, and he basically talked about his system, how he used other judges. He talked about, the perks that he got or whatever. And this is a judge. Okay, he's a judge that sits on a court. That's a prestigious position to have, and he was telling us how he was using it corruptly. The second article he's mentioned in this, the second article as well, which was from Gann, and Gann is the name of that article, which will be in the description box. I don't know why I feel the need to do this. It's called Ukraine Corruption Report. So it's a snapshot of the corruption, and in that one, they break down the areas of corruption in Ukraine, and they give you more on the judicial system, and it also gives you a breakdown of what they are planning to do, like what they're planning to do and what they are probably already implemented, because this is like a few years old. But it's just to give you a snapshot, and it's around, these publications came out around the time when President Trump is coming into office, and around his first year of being a president. One, I believe, is when he's on the campaign, and the other article came out around the time where this is like his first year of presidency. So it just kind of supports the fact of why he would withhold aid, because he wanted to make sure everything was legit. He wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to turn over more American money to yet another corrupt country. And while we don't feel like the citizens of Ukraine are just corrupt and bad people, their system is corrupt. And we know a little bit, about corruption, because we have that in our judicial system, for certain groups of people, for a certain group of persons or whatever. We know that it's a little corrupt when it comes to this situation. So, it's not in judgment, because President Zelensky is very sensitive about that, about Americans saying that, the country is very corrupt, but they have a corruption problem. Their system is very corrupt. And these two articles highlight and solidify why that aid should have been held up, and why, the president made the right decision. He made the right decision, and how this impeachment is nothing more but to embarrass you and I and anybody else, any other American citizen that might be sitting down considering running for president, inspired by President Trump, thinking like, he's not a politician, but he went and he ran based on the principles of America, and he won. And so me, even though not me personally, but you may be saying like, I can do that too. I'm an outsider. I have ideas. I have a direction for the country I want to come in. And all of this is to discourage that. All of this is to discourage that, because when you come in, you want to do something new. You want to fix what's broken. And a lot of the old, Democrats, and a handful of those Republicans too, do not want change. They want to keep the system the way it is. Okay, and President Trump is trying to do something for everybody, actually really do something for everybody, and not just talk about we're going to do something for everybody and only do something for specific groups. The president, I think he's doing a good job at reaching out to everyone and trying to uplift everyone. Okay, so I'm Ray Ray, guys. I like to spread awareness through conversation in hopes that it sparks change. I'm unaffected by the back and forth. When I first came on YouTube, I said I wasn't going to get into any YouTube beefs, and I'm going to go out like a champ doing that. Please subscribe if you haven't already, because they have taken me out of the search engine. And that's okay with me. That's fine with me. But I noticed that they did that. I've been messed with since I've been on here, and I got off of talking about myself personally, and I dove into like sex trafficking and political issues or whatever. I have been suffering some little what I want to say, hacks, or just some little discomforts that I'm not gonna keep me up at all at night. Okay, so I just wanted to express that. I don't know why, but the spirit was on me, so I just said, let me go ahead and express it. So, you guys, I hope you have a great new year. This is going to be the last video that I make for the year. And just enjoy yourself, drink responsibly, just have a good time.